Cryptocurrency expert Tika Tiwari has an urgent message to share with you. Tika's made millions of dollars for himself and those who follow his work. But recently, he came across an urgent opportunity that he believes will create a whole new class of cryptocurrency millionaires. It involves a little-known currency law working its way through Congress as we speak. This law has received almost zero press coverage, but it's set to go into effect by the end of this year. And when it does, Tika predicts the price of Bitcoin, as well as a handful of other lesser-known cryptocurrencies, will soar. That's why you've made such a great decision to join us tonight. Tika will show you how to position yourself beforehand, meaning you could potentially make thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in the coming months, starting with as little as a few $100s. A tiny grub stake could pay for your whole retirement. In fact, Tika's so confident in his prediction that for the first time ever, he's giving away $1 million of Bitcoin. You heard that right, $1 million worth of Bitcoin. And later during the program, we'll tell you exactly how you can claim your portion of it. Now, just for attending tonight's event, you're going to receive for free some very urgent research. Tika Tiwari will reveal the name of one of his top cryptocurrency picks. It's the perfect way to play this opportunity, and if it's anything like Tika's past picks, you could be looking at a huge windfall. Now he's found another one, and he says it's an immediate buy. Yes, as soon as this event is over, you can go and buy his latest recommendation. It's trading for well under $1 right now, and Tika will give you its name a little later on. It's our way of thanking you for joining us. You'll also get to hear from Tika's special mystery guest, a cryptocurrency insider. This man is a world-renowned expert on cryptocurrencies. He was an early investor in Bitcoin and is CEO of one of the largest cryptocurrency wallet providers. He's also one of 5 people in the world to launch a cryptocurrency that's a genuine rival to Bitcoin. If you'd invested just $1,000 in his crypto around the time it began trading, you could be sitting on more than $470,000 today. It's delivered an astonishing 47,000% gain in just 2 years. Tonight, this man will reveal himself. He will discuss his forecast for 2018, the best new opportunities in the cryptocurrency markets. He'll be on momentarily, and you'll absolutely want to hear what he has to say. Of course, that's just the beginning of what we have planned for you folks. Tika's also going to walk you through his system for spotting fast-moving cryptos, give his forecast for 2018, and much more. Okay, joining me now is the man making all this possible. He's worked in the financial markets for over 25 years. He began working on Wall Street at 18 years old, worked his way up, and before long, he was the youngest vice president in the history of Shearson Lehman Brothers. He would go on to start and run a hedge fund, make millions of dollars, and by 2005, retire from Wall Street. But in 2013, he teamed up with Tom Dyson and Mark Ford here at Palm Beach Research Group. And last year, he launched a groundbreaking research service called Palm Beach Confidential, where he's been helping thousands of everyday people transform their financial future through his cryptocurrency research. Tika, thanks for being here.
It's my absolute pleasure, Bob.
Tika, you started making cryptocurrency recommendations in March 2016, and already your picks have delivered record-breaking gains. They've returned 582% in 8 months, 1,190% in 3 months, 1,241% in 6 months, 2,050% in 13 months, and even 14,354% in 6 months. We're putting the list up on the screen now. So, Tika, your readers have had the chance to make 5, 10, 20, even 143 times their money or more. We ran a few numbers. Those who invested just $400 in each of these picks could have walked away with nearly $80,000. $1,000 in each could have turned into just under $200,000. Again, that's just since last year. Tika, these numbers are absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Bob. I'm very happy with the results. It's been wonderful to hear from all the people profiting from my research. I've heard from them and they've said they've been able to retire early, pay off all their debts, take exotic vacations. We even have someone who used his crypto gains to put a down payment on $1 million home for his family. It's extremely gratifying. But here's the thing, Bob. We're not even close to being done yet. This is still very much early days. And I think we're going to see an even bigger series of gains in 2018. And I have the evidence to prove it. And tonight, for the first time, I will reveal this evidence and show that the only logical conclusion is for Bitcoin and several smaller cryptos to go much, much higher.
Now, Tika, that's a pretty bold statement. I mean, over the past year, we heard from one couple, Dave and Patty, who grew $1,800 into $29,000. Another guy, Brian F., turned $11,000 into $125,000. John M. turned $300 into $125,000. And Ron L. says, my original investment is now close to a 20-bagger, $600 going close to $10,000. Those are unbelievable sums, Tika. Is it really possible that today's viewers could make even more money?
Absolutely, Bob, and that's why I wanted to hold this emergency briefing. I have some big news to share that's very, very bullish for cryptos. Based on what I've learned, I believe Bitcoin could see a huge spike by January and go on to double or triple in the short term. And I believe a small group of lesser known cryptos could go up many, many times that. I'm talking 5, 10, even 20 times higher or more. In fact, the recommendation I'm giving away here tonight, I believe, is one of those. Now, of course, nothing in the market is guaranteed. But if everything plays out like my research says it will, our viewers could see life-changing returns. So what I want to do today is tell people what's going on, introduce them to these other cryptocurrencies, and show them what they can do immediately to start making money.
Tika, that sounds fantastic. I can hardly wait to hear all about it. I want to quickly explain who this event is for. If you're looking for information on small, fast-moving alternative investments and you don't mind some volatility, you've come to the right place. Cryptocurrencies are one of the best ways for everyday folks to make a fortune over the next 12 months. It's one of the only markets where an average Joe can turn a few $100s into a huge windfall. But just to be clear, even though you can make a fortune from cryptos without leaving your house, what Tika does is nothing like a home business, a biz op, or any multi-level marketing program you may have seen on the internet.
That's right, Bob. I provide investment research. It's as simple as that. Only instead of investing in the kind of stuff you hear about from a broker, I'm showing you how to invest in the modern-day version of the early 90s tech market. Someday, we're going to look back on some of these cryptos, just like we do Microsoft, Apple, Cisco, Dell, back before they shot up 40,000%, 50,000%, 90,000%. For the past year, my team and I have spent a considerable amount of time and money studying them all. We've created a system that's allowed me to help people take very small stakes in cryptos and turn them into large ones.
Let's talk about that a little bit. You have a system that's proven to work, not on just Bitcoin, but on other cryptocurrencies as well, because as you've been saying, Bitcoin is just one of many cryptos.
That's correct. You see, thanks to Bitcoin's success, hundreds of new cryptocurrencies have come to market, and new ones are popping up every week. Now look, I'll tell you this, Bob, some of them are without a doubt absolute garbage, but others of them are your best chance to turn a tiny pocket change investment into a huge windfall.
How about an example?
Look at Ethereum. Today, it's the second most popular cryptocurrency, but as recently as a year ago, it was virtually unknown. Now, I came across it during my research, and I arranged a meeting with Vitalik Buterin. He's the guy who created it. I could immediately tell that Ethereum was going to be big, so I recommended it when it was trading for just $9. Since then, it's gone as high as $400. By following my buy and sell recommendations, my readers have had the chance to make 2,050%.
Whoa. So let's see, just $1,000 in this play could have turned it into more than $20,000 in just over a year. Do I have that right?
Exactly. And I keep getting feedback from people making huge sums of money. Another example is a so-called privacy coin I learned about last year. It's a coin that helps you shield your identity. Now, this was revolutionary, so I recommended it to my readers when it was trading for just $8. Less than a year later, my readers were sitting on a 1,522% gain.
Wow. So again, $1,000 could have turned into more than $15,000. Tika, that's a really nice cruise, or maybe a down payment on a condo.
Listen to this one, Bob. Earlier this year, I discovered an Austin, Texas-based crypto. I got to know the folks behind it, great people. I found out that they were doing some really exciting work with the Department of Homeland Security. So I recommended the idea in March, and by May, my readers were sitting on 296% in gains. Boom! Just like that, this crypto nearly quadrupled. Do you know what the S&P 500 returned over the same period, Bob?
I give up.
0.8%. So you could have made 370 times more money with this crypto than investing in the S&P.
Tika, that's amazing.
Now, I should be clear. We've talked about some of my old recommendations. So I'm sure folks are worried they missed out. But don't worry. By the end of this, you'll learn about several new plays that could be even bigger than those other plays.
Well, it's pretty easy to see why your ideas are resonating with people, Tika. I mean, you've developed an extremely large following. Over 87,000 people in 137 countries are reading your work. That includes Roger Ver. Roger has made as much as $30 million in various Bitcoin startups. He's one of the most prolific Bitcoin startup guys out there. He reads your work.
Yes, he and I talk regularly. Roger's the guy who led me to that 1,500% winner I just mentioned.
You've also done a Q&A with Charlie Shrem, who was once listed as one of the top 5 Bitcoin millionaires, and he will also be joining us in just a few minutes.
And I'm proud to say that I converted Doug Casey to cryptos. Doug's a legendary speculator. He heard me speak at a conference and told me that if I ever started a cryptocurrency-focused hedge fund, he'd be my first investor. I had to decline because I stopped running a hedge fund years ago, but it was a great honor.
Now, our special mystery guest is going to join us in just a moment, so we're going to talk to him and get your forecasts for 2018, and we're also going to get into the new cryptocurrency law. But I want to show people a chart you brought with you, Tika. It absolutely blew my mind.
Right, so for the first half of the year, from January 1st to June 30th, 0 stocks in the S&P 500 returned over 100%. The best performer was Vertex Pharmaceuticals, up 75%. However, over the same time period, over 200 cryptos delivered gains of 100% or more. I repeat, 0 versus 200 plus.
That's amazing. The difference is really night and day. But here's where it gets really interesting. Folks, Tika recommended to buy and sell 4 picks over roughly the same time frame, give or take a month or so. So we decided to compare his 4 picks against the top 4 performers in the S&P 500. Does that make sense? Everybody with me on that? The S&P's top 4 versus Tika's 4. If you'd invested $500 in the top 4 stocks in the S&P at the beginning of the year, it would have turned into just under $4,000 in 6 months. Now, That's not too bad, right, Tika?
No, that's actually pretty darn good. Most people would take that in a heartbeat.
$500 in your picks could have turned into $83,309. If that doesn't convince you to move at least a portion of your money out of stocks and into Tika's crypto ideas, I don't know what will.
Now, of course, Bob, I want our viewers to remember that cryptocurrencies are volatile. So there is some risk. But as that example shows, when done right, investing in cryptocurrencies can be a lot less risky than traditional investing. And let me explain what I mean by that. The reason is because you don't have to put up nearly as much money. So to make $83,000 from blue chip stocks, $500 won't cut it, right?
Right.
You need a lot more.
Yeah.
But almost everybody can put $500, $1,000, $2,000 into a crypto idea and really move the needle on their wealth creation. And the good news is that we're just getting started, Bob. The next 12 months are going to be huge for cryptocurrencies.
Let's get into that, Tika. You've talked about a new law working its way through Congress. How will it affect our viewers?
Okay, this new law could be a turning point for Bitcoin in the United States because it removes the #1 obstacle preventing people from using Bitcoin on a daily basis here in the US. You see, you might not be aware of this, Bob, but right now, even if you buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin, technically, you might have to pay capital gains tax on the purchase.
Why is that?
It all has to do with an IRS mandate. Back in 2014, when the IRS was trying to figure out what the heck Bitcoin was, they classified it as property. Now, here's what that means. If you buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes up in price, then you use that Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee. Technically, you have to pay a capital gains tax because the Bitcoin is now worth more.
That's absurd.
It's completely absurd. Obviously, in a case like this, Bitcoin is being used as a currency, not property. Everyone can see that, apparently, except the IRS. They say it's property, so it's taxed at the same rate as gold, 28%. Now look, this is an unfair burden on Bitcoin. Every other currency gets an exemption.
But you're saying all this could change by the end of the year.
Yes, and this is what is so exciting about 2018. Lawmakers are pushing through a bill that will eliminate this tax. It creates an exemption for Bitcoin for payments under $600, making them tax-free.
So the same exemption that other currencies get.
The exact same exemption. So no more coffee tax. Bitcoin will now get treated just like every other currency. It's put on an equal playing field with the dollar, the euro, the pound. Bob, this sets the regulatory stage for Bitcoin to be used as a daily currency.
Yeah, but Tika, is Bitcoin actually going to be used daily? I mean, do they even take Bitcoin at Starbucks?
They do. They started accepting it. They started accepting it late last year. Subway, Microsoft, Expedia, Dell, over 100,000 stores across the globe now accept Bitcoin as payment. And hundreds of thousands more have signed up just in the past year. Now look, let me be clear. I'm not saying that overnight everyone is going to be using Bitcoin instead of US dollars. But what I am saying, this change in the law could help the day-to-day use of Bitcoin increase significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if usage more than doubled in the next 12 months. And that would obviously increase demand for and ownership of Bitcoin.
So what would this do to Bitcoin's price?
It will send it soaring. We know this is true because it's happened before. Back in 2015, a Swedish man wanted to start a Bitcoin exchange, but was really unsure of the tax implications. Would he take a beating every time he made a purchase in Bitcoin? So he went to the courts and asked them, what do I do? And the courts ruled in favor of Bitcoin. They granted Bitcoin tax exemption status. Now, this was big news at the time. There were a lot of headlines about it, and it sent Bitcoin soaring. In fact, within 2 weeks, Bitcoin jumped 80% in value.
So let's see, at today's prices, that would send Bitcoin well over $10,000.
Here's the thing, Bob. I think that's our low-end estimate. I mean, remember, the U.S. is a much bigger market. I would not be surprised to see a jump twice that big.
And what about the other lesser-known cryptos? I assume they would benefit from this as well?
Absolutely. They could soar much higher than Bitcoin.
Okay, hold that thought, Tika. I want to talk more about this, but our special guest is on the line. Anthony, are you there?
I'm here.
Fantastic, folks. I'd like to welcome our special guest, Anthony Diorio. Whether or not you recognize Anthony's name, you'll certainly recognize his work. Anthony is a serial entrepreneur, venture capitalist, cryptocurrency founder, and Bitcoin pioneer. He first invested in Bitcoin back in 2012. This is back when it was trading for $5 to $10. We're not going to ask Anthony how much he's made, but you can imagine it's a lot. Figuring conservatively, we're talking 400, 500, maybe even an 800 bagger or more. Then in 2014, Anthony teamed up with Vitalik Buterin and 3 others to launch Ethereum. Everybody will recognize that name. Anybody who invested around the time Anthony and his team were launching it could be sitting on gains of 47,000%. That turns every $100 into $47,000, turns $10,000 into $4.7 million. Absolutely amazing. Anthony, we are delighted to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I will say, I know, although you'll never say it because you're too modest, Ethereum wouldn't have happened, or at least in the time that it happened, it wouldn't have happened without Anthony Diorio. His vision, his money, his focus, and his ability to build that team is truly incredible. And people need to know that about you, Anthony, that what you helped build there was just absolutely incredible. And I hope I'm not embarrassing you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot of lessons with Ethereum. It was 5 partners that got together. I funded the thing until the crowd sale with help from Joseph Lubin, who was a co-founder that joined when we eventually expanded out to 8 people. And I learned a lot.
Now, Anthony, let's talk about China. It's been all over the news. They've banned Bitcoin exchanges. They've banned crypto ICOs. There's talk they'll also ban Bitcoin mining. What's your take? Are you worried about this?
No, not worried at all, actually. Over the years, there's a tendency for China to come down very hard-handed and make these types of statements and start moving to do such things as saying they're going to ban this stuff. But I think a lot of it is a lot of the people that are in power in China kind of setting themselves up, them saying, globally, we want to look like we're having a very hard-line approach on this. But in reality, we'd like to just kind of corral it a bit. We're going to figure out ways to ensure that people making money here are the people high up in the governments. We want to make sure that we look like we're being very strong against this disruption here, and that we're going to look like we're taking a very hard stance on it. But in general, I think what they're doing is preparing themselves to embrace this technology, make sure that they're going to utilize it as efficiently as possible, try to restrict it within their borders as they tend to do with anything else, a lot of capital controls. As soon as you see one area or one particular government or country say we're going to try to corral this and try to constrict things, it's not going anywhere, these technologies, and then that just means more opportunity for other countries. So we're seeing Japan step up, we're seeing Korea step up, a number of other places in the Caribbean stepping up.
Hey, Anthony, this is Tika. I got to say that I completely agree. I really see it as a pause rather than a permanent ban. And because this is just a pause, I think it actually represents an enormous money-making opportunity if you get in now. See, we've already seen this several times before with China. Beijing allows a new market to grow. Then once it starts to really take off, they drop the regulatory hammer. But a few months later, they always walk back the regulations. So, we've seen this happen again and again. It happened with margin lending. The Chinese government thought this was getting out of hand, so all of a sudden the government cracked down on margin lending. And just like that, the entire Chinese stock market lost nearly 30% in 3 weeks. But here's the interesting thing, and this kind of calls back to your point. 6 months later, China walked back its margin restrictions, which helped ignite an 18-month bull market. And it even happened with cryptos, Bob. In March of this year, China banned all Bitcoin withdrawals from Chinese exchanges. At one point during the turmoil, the entire crypto market dropped 33%. But again, Beijing reversed course just 3 months later, and the crypto market more than doubled in the months that followed.
That's very interesting. It sounds like both of you are very much on the same page, and that's exciting news for our viewers. I want to switch gears and talk about all this bubble stuff we're seeing in the media. The crypto market's gone from around $17 billion at the start of the year to well over $100 billion. Those who got out ahead of it, like Tika and his readers and Anthony, have made life-changing gains. But now a lot of talking heads on TV say we're headed for a crash, or the train's already left the station. What do you guys think? Tika, you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. I recently spoke at an event in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I went on stage and I said that in my estimation, 95% of all ICOs are either outright fraudulent or just really bad ideas, right? They may not be bad guys that are running it, but just have no idea what they're doing, and they shouldn't be funded. And it's one of the reasons why we don't buy ICOs. But to pull the camera back a little bit more, I want to give you an idea of how small the entire cryptocurrency market is relative to traditional assets. So the whole crypto market right now is between 150 to 170 billion dollars big. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but when you compare it to a traditional asset class like stocks, it's tiny. The global stock market is worth $66 trillion. 66 trillion. You can see that it's tiny. The entire gold market's worth $8 trillion. So there's this enormous room for growth in this space.
Yeah, well, that provides some perspective on the size of this market. It's still very small, as you said.
Right. You could see this whole market 10x, and it would still be fairly small. And again, this is true for the crypto market as a whole. Even with all the growth that we've seen, cryptos still represent just 0.1% of all currencies. The value of all currencies. The gold market is 54 times bigger. That's why I keep saying that we're still in the first innings of this bull market. Yes, there will be volatility. Yes, there will be ups and downs. But if you are rational and you align yourself with the right team, you can just make enormous amounts of money. And I will say this for everybody that's listening today. The biggest investment mistake of your life will be to sit on the sidelines, because you will watch this market 10x and potentially 10x again. And if you don't participate in it, you're going to feel sick.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony, we'd love you to weigh in on that.
I would say that we're in this hype cycle right now where there's going to be a correction. I don't know when that's going to be, but the true value that will emerge from this amazing technology will be the thing that really shines through, and that's going to take a lot of time down the road. So, I do encourage people, as not treating this as get rich quick, or really get into it, learn about it, get out to meetups, get out to events, really dig in as much as possible. Align yourselves, as mentioned there prior, with people that are good teams and know what's really going on in the space. But try to get in there for the long term. It's going to be a long ride. It's going to take a long time for these technologies to mature and really disrupt different sectors and disrupt industries.
Yeah, Anthony, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm in 100% agreement with that. And in terms of being committed to the long term, we're sitting on huge gains in a lot of different ideas, and we haven't sold them because we think they've got a lot higher to go.
Fascinating stuff from both of you. Okay, we're going to get into Tika's investment system. We're also going to get into the $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. But while we have Anthony here, we have to ask him about his latest projects. Anthony, what specifically are you working on now? Are there any new or little-known cryptos that you can tell us about?
So we do a number of different things at Decentral. Decentral is my company. We're the makers of Jax, the wallet that we're creating to be the interface for blockchain. We support dozens of cryptocurrencies right now that enable people the ability to manage their assets, move their assets, shift them between different tokens. But in general, some of the ones that I've invested over the last little while was beginning of the year, I put quite a bit into the Quantum project out of China. I hold some different tokens. I hold quite a bit still of Ethereum. Dash is something that I'm still quite bullish on. There's a number of other ones that I advise on right now. Enigma, there's Syndicator. There's actually quite a few of them. I think my total list of what I've invested in right now, we're at about 30 or 40 different tokens that I've gone into, most of them over the last few months. But a lot of it is just kind of trying to get little pieces of different projects and hoping that some of them take off.
You know, Anthony brings up some excellent points. The market has changed. You know, 2 years ago, you could make the argument that you could pretty much throw a dart at the board and make money. Now the market's becoming a lot more discerning. It is looking for not only great ideas, but ideas that people can actually execute on. And so this is something that we look at. We say, okay, do you have a great idea? Fantastic. But that's not enough. We need to believe you can execute on it, and we need to believe that the market is actually going to use your ideas.
Anthony, we know you have to get going. We appreciate you being here. You're one of the top cryptocurrency experts around, so thanks for taking time to join us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, now let's get to our next guest. Charlie, are you there?
Yes.
Charlie, this is Bob Irish. I'm hosting our event, and I'm here with Tika.
Hey, Charlie. Hey, guys. How are you?
Folks, let me tell you a little bit about Charlie. Charlie is one of the most influential cryptocurrency investors on the planet. He's a true Bitcoin pioneer. He started studying Bitcoin in 2011 when he was a senior at Brooklyn College, and he bought his first Bitcoin when it was trading for around $3. At today's prices, we're talking a gain of more than 166,000%. That turns every $250 into $416,000 and every $1,000 into $1.6 million. So folks, you definitely want to pay attention to what Charlie has to say today. He's been involved in several more crypto ventures, and he and Tika have gotten to know each other over the past year. He's agreed to join us. We're thrilled to have him. Charlie, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So we were also talking earlier about cryptocurrency usage. I'm talking about cryptos being used for purchases, things like that. Charlie, what's your take on that? Do you think cryptocurrencies will continue to become more and more a part of our daily lives, or has this plateaued?
No, I don't think it is plateaued. There was a great article that came out recently. I think it was on the Telegraph, and it said, what are the top 10 hedges that millionaires and billionaires are using for their money against banks and just, you know, like at the advent of the internet, now we should have alternative hedges against the world other than gold and silver. And what people are seeing and what people are using, and the first one I saw was crypto. Cryptocurrency was number one. Number two was multifamily real estate, and then you have precious metals, 3, 4, 5, 6. But even if Bitcoin can get 1% of the gold market, if 1% of all gold holders bought Bitcoin, you'd see a Bitcoin price at over $1 million per coin. It's such a small, it's so small right now. Like the market cap of Bitcoin is less than $100 billion. People have wealth. And, you know, you have two of the wealthiest billionaires can put their money together and buy up all the Bitcoin in the world. It's such a small industry at this point, and it has ways and ways to go. It's tiny.
Couldn't agree more, Charlie. I think it's the ultimate hedge, probably better than gold at this point.
Wow, that puts it in perspective. It really does. Charlie, your earlier comments prompted another question that Tika actually gets quite a bit. People want to know if the government may try to ban all cryptocurrencies at some point. What do you think the chances of that are?
I don't see that happening at this point because it will be very difficult and expensive to do so, and they just be playing a game of whack-a-mole. which is we see with the war on drugs doesn't really work. In order for really to ban Bitcoin and to shut it down, or any cryptocurrency, you have to shut down every computer in the world. Because when I'm using cryptocurrency on my phone and you're using it on your computer, only my phone and your computer know that we're using cryptocurrency. The data in between that's traveling over the internet is the same data as going on any website. It's packets. It's the same thing. You can't, cryptocurrency data and regular internet usage data is impossible. It's indistinguishable. They can't just push a button and say all cryptocurrency is banned. It's not humanly, physically possible.
Charlie, as one who's very clued in, as you obviously are, where do you see the best opportunities for disruption, either from cryptos or blockchain technology?
Where I'm going to see the most disruption in the coming future is twofold. I think Bitcoin and some of these other tokens have kind of cornered the financial market. So what I'm seeing now is what my investment group invests in is we look for projects that take blockchain technology and apply it to other industries: music, sports, entertainment, insurance, voting, supply chain logistics, basically non-financial blockchains. We're looking at those. And I think those industries are really ripe for destruction, because what these projects are doing is they're asking two questions. One, how can blockchain technology make us more money? And how can blockchain technology save us money from however we're doing things now?
Wow, this is fascinating stuff. It really is. Charlie, I've just got a few more questions for you. As one who's made a lot of great investments in this space, can you share with our listeners some of your secrets? What do you look for when you make an investment?
It's a good question. And a lot of times you have to kind of weed through and it's like you're kind of going through a rainforest and you're chopping the trees around you just to be able to walk through it. There's a lot of information. The first thing I jump to when I look at a project that someone brings to me is I look at the team. Who are they? What have they done in the past? Is this a team of really smart people that have had successful companies in the past, know how to execute an idea? Once I know the team is good and I see that they have the ability to execute, I say, what are they doing? What are they raising? Are they raising $50 million? Okay, what do they need $50 million for? I've turned down projects because the raise is just too high. I recently invested in a project called Vibrate. They were very smart. They raised $15 million. Very easy raise. They told me dollar for dollar what they're going to use their money for. Very conservative, and it was very successful. They sold out their token sale in minutes. Another project, Syndicator, $12 million raise. However, I didn't participate personally in a lot of the big ones. I didn't participate in Filecoin. I didn't participate in Tezos. And look, I'm very happy I didn't participate in Tezos because they're dealing with all legal stuff right now, and there's no product. They raised $250 million, and there's nothing to show for it 6 months later. I don't like to invest in these big ones that everyone is very excited about because a lot of times they're just air, they're vaporware. But the team, I always look first at the team.
Charlie, I know you have to get going. I do want to thank you again for joining us. Before we let you go, we've got tens of thousands of people listening to you right now. Many of them are very new to cryptocurrencies. Do you have any final words of wisdom for them?
This is what I tell people that are interested in cryptocurrency. I tell them, take $1,000, go to Bittrex, Bittrex.com, deposit $1,000 in Bittrex. You can send them a wire transfer. Start researching a few of them. They all do different things, and they all appeal to different people. Then when you pick 5 of them, put $200 into each one, and then just watch it. Follow the news. Set up your Google alerts for those 5 that you invested in. And honestly, it'll be fun because that $1,000 can turn into $5,000, it can turn to $10,000, or you can lose it all. It doesn't matter. It's only $1,000 if you can afford to lose that. But you'll have a great time. You'll learn. And you could say to your friends that you're investing in 5 different cryptocurrencies.
Terrific. Charlie, thanks again for being with us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Charlie. It's just, you're an amazing light in this space, and you're just a great guy, and I love talking to you, and I just think everybody here, you just provided a lot of value. I'm really grateful that you could make it with us tonight.
Have a great day, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Now, Tika, it sounds like Charlie is as bullish about cryptos as you are.
And Bob, we only covered a few of the growth catalysts. Did you know that very soon global exchanges are planning to launch crypto products? The Chicago Board Options Exchange has announced a plan to introduce cryptocurrency derivatives. This is a game changer, Bob. Right now, big banks, pension funds, and money managers have no way to hedge their risk if they buy cryptocurrencies. Remember, cryptos are volatile. These big players need to hedge, but right now they can't. That's kept a lot of them out of the market. But that will change practically overnight once the CBOE introduces crypto derivatives.
When did you say this is coming?
Look, they've announced that pending regulatory review, it's coming by either the fourth quarter of 2017 or early 2018. We're right in that time frame, meaning it could happen any day. And another group, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, this is the group that regulates U.S. commodities trading, also plans to introduce crypto derivatives very soon. When these changes go through, it will unleash a stampede of elephant-sized capital. We're not talking about billions of dollars, Bob. We're talking about trillions.
Trillions, wow. What about Silicon Valley? Are they jumping on board?
Some of the top venture capitalists have invested billions supporting cryptocurrencies. That includes folks like Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, and the first outside investor in Facebook. Mark Andreessen, a Netscape co-founder and one of Silicon Valley's most influential venture capitalists. Billionaire Richard Branson, Yahoo founder Jerry Yang, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, Google Ventures, and many more.
So what I'm hearing, Tika, is that even if this new Bitcoin law doesn't play out exactly as you think, if there's a delay, if it gets modified, whatever, or if China's crypto bans end up lasting longer than you anticipate, it doesn't sound like you'd be worried at all.
No, Bob, I'm not worried at all. Frankly, there's enough going on outside the United States to carry this market higher for years. I was talking to Doug Casey. As I mentioned earlier, Doug's a legendary speculator. He just invested his first $100,000 in cryptos. His argument is that only an estimated 15 to 35 million of the 7 billion people on Earth own cryptos.
Wow, that's it? That's a very small percentage. That's not very many people at all.
No, it isn't. And the vast majority of those who have bought have invested very little. So you have all these third world countries with these terrible currencies, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Kenya. For years, these poor people have suffered through one worthless currency after the next. But now they finally have an alternative. We've seen a huge uptick in Bitcoin buying in these places, and it's only getting stronger.
And it's not just struggling countries like Venezuela, right? I mean, I know you've written that lots of big, powerful countries are moving into cryptos as well.
Correct. Australia, India, South Korea, Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark are all opening their doors to Bitcoin. Combined, these countries have 1.4 billion people and a total GDP of $6.9 trillion. In April, the Japanese government recognized Bitcoin as a legal currency. It's now accepted at stores across the country, and trading is soaring. This is another country with 127 million people and a GDP of $4.7 trillion. It's now opened the door to cryptocurrencies. Bob, right before our eyes, the world is turning to cryptocurrencies. That's why I think it's critical that every investor put down at least a small chunk of change as soon as possible, because we're smack dab in the middle of a raging cryptocurrency bull market. Over 200 cryptos delivered triple digits in the first half of the year, with many of them soaring 1,000%, 5,000%, even 10,000% or more. As this market develops, we'll see many, many more. As one of my subscribers succinctly points out, the beauty of these speculations is you can throw down a tiny grub stake on some of them. And if it goes to even $5 or $10, you're talking about gigantic profits.
Now, Tika, you're not saying you should invest in every crypto play on the market, and obviously past success doesn't guarantee future results.
Yeah, this is an excellent point, Bob, and I'm glad that you brought it up. You need to stay rational and be ready for some volatility. It's absolutely unavoidable. If you go back and look at every big winner in any sector, you'll always find volatility. But that's why I've developed a system to help take advantage of the best ones while only risking a few $100s.
Tika, I think this is a good time to dive into your system. Stay tuned. After Tika explains his strategy, we'll begin the $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. Tika's also going to reveal the name of one of his top picks. That's all coming up in just a few minutes. So, Tika, how does your system work?
It's called BITS. BITS is an acronym. Every letter stands for one of the 4 components we use. When you combine the different parts, it can help you predict when a cryptocurrency is setting up for a big move.
Okay, so let's get started. What's the B stand for?
Okay, it stands for business value ratio. It's the first step, and it helps us buy cryptos when they're cheap. But we all know we're supposed to buy when there's blood in the streets and sell when people are greedy.
Yeah, it's easy to say, hard to do.
Very hard to do. So what we did with BITS is we created a system that helps us buy cheap and sell high.
So that's what the business value ratio does?
Yes, it can show you when a coin is oversold. It does this by tracking the dollar value of transactions in a given investment. We track it over the last 30 days, and that gives us a baseline. You see that black dotted line there?
Right.
That's our baseline. Generally speaking, a cryptocurrency or even a stock will trade around that baseline. When we see activity drop off, that's basically the equivalent of a coin getting oversold. This starts piquing our interest. It's telling us this crypto's getting cheap. This is our first sign that we need to start taking a look at this. But Bob, being cheap is not enough. Just because a crypto is cheap does not mean it's a buy.
Right. It's the whole idea of trying to catch a falling knife. Just because something has gone down a lot doesn't mean it can't go down a lot more.
Exactly. And this is where we come to the next step.
Oh, tell us about the I.
So I stands for insiders. The next step is we go to my network of insiders.
Tika, you seem to know just about everybody in this space.
Yeah, I have relationships with almost every major development team, PR firm, and most cryptocurrency VC investors in the world. Very few people would recognize their faces. To the outside world, they're nobodies, yet together they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, of course, I'm not doing any insider trading with them. There's nothing illegal going on, but I've been able to penetrate their network, and it's been a huge advantage being able to connect with people and attend exclusive conferences.
So, Tika, we're putting some of these people up on the screen now. Who are we looking at?
Well, you can see me with Vitalik Buterin. He's arguably the biggest name in cryptocurrencies. He came up with Ethereum, which Anthony helped launch. I mentioned earlier that I've gotten to know Roger Ver, aka Bitcoin Jesus, Chandler Gu, who's one of the largest Bitcoin miners in the world. He has a huge operation in China. I met him with Jim Cunha, Senior VP of the Federal Reserve of Boston. He heads up their digital payments group. These are just a few examples, Bob. Being able to tap these plugged-in insiders has helped us find some just absolutely incredible ideas.
How about some examples, Tika?
Absolutely. Jonathan Bahai, my bunker friend, led me to a couple. He's the guy behind a crypto called Peer Plays. Jonathan virtually lives underground. He bought a nuclear bunker. I'm not kidding. He owns a nuclear bunker in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and he built his whole business under there. He's a very private guy, but we really hit it off. I mentioned in my training series that he led me to Steam It, which gave my readers the chance at as much as a 1,241% gain in 6 months. But Jonathan was also the catalyst to my big play on Peer Plays, which gave anybody who followed my recommendation as much as 1,270% in 7 months.
It's amazing, Tika. One insider leads you to two picks, and they both soar well over 1,000%.
And we would have never found out about them without my insider network. Now, another example of this is a tiny Swiss-based crypto. I heard about it from another of my contacts, an eccentric Oxford-trained mathematician. Now, this guy runs a big crypto ICO site, and he has relationships with all of the development teams. He told me that if he was going up in space for 10 years with no computer, this little crypto would be one of the names he would own. I looked at it, I recommended it, and within 7 months, it had soared as much as 790%.
Wow. What about your monster winner, the Ethereum of China?
I came across it one day while I was doing some research, and Bob, it seemed too good to be true. It was trading for pennies, yet it was basically the Ethereum of China. I wanted to get in touch with their team and make sure everything was good as it looked. So I contacted one of my crypto guys in Portugal, and he managed to wrangle a meeting. Before I knew it, I was talking to their community head in China on a bad Skype connection at 1 in the morning. It was a lot of work, but man, did it pay off. You know, we've taken some profits on this crypto a few times, and so far my readers have had the chance to pocket 1,190% in 3 months and 14,354% in 6 months.
Wow. I want to repeat that because it's absolutely amazing. 14,354% in 6 months. Tika, that's life-changing. A pick like that can completely change your retirement.
You're absolutely right. One of my subscribers, a man named Paul, invested just less than $500 in it. A few months back, he wrote to tell me that his stake had grown just short of $140,000. He said, I cannot even wrap my head around how big a gain that represents. But suffice it to say that this one transaction significantly expanded my ability to care for my family and others. And Bob, it all started with my relationships with these insiders. I would never have been able to find out what was really going on with this crypto or any of my other big winners without my network. You get a level of knowledge that you just can't get from sitting behind a desk.
So Tika, how were you able to earn these guys' trust?
It's a lot of work. You gotta be willing to travel. Now, occasionally you get lucky with a Skype interview, but oftentimes you can't get into the real info until you fly halfway across the world and actually sit down to meet with them. And that's why I travel all over the world to meet with crypto experts. London, Lisbon, Berlin, Copenhagen, and New York. I even have a relationship with a hedge fund manager in Tel Aviv and another one in Switzerland. Again, you've really got to be tied into the insiders in this space if you want to be able to find the great deals. Every business has an insider network that can tell you, nope, that's a bad deal, or yep, that's a great deal. The insiders have got to agree with our bits buy signal, or Bob, we just don't move forward.
Fascinating stuff, Tika. Before we get into the last two parts of your system, I do want to give a few more details on our Bitcoin giveaway. As I said earlier, we've set aside $1 million worth of actual Bitcoin to give away tonight. It will be yours to use as you see fit. You can leave it in your account and watch it grow. You can invest it in Tika's other cryptocurrency recommendations. You can use it to buy things wherever Bitcoin is accepted. It's completely up to you. We haven't provided the link yet, but it will be up on your screen shortly. We'll also put up a phone number that you can call as well. We've also got the Q&A coming up shortly, and Tika's also going to give you the name of one of his top picks. He'll do that right after we finish talking about the last two parts of his strategy.
Okay, I can cover these last two parts quickly because I know we want to get to my top pick in the Q&A. The next is T, which stands for technicals. We use the momentum indicator called the relative strength indicator, or RSI. This is a very, very simple tool that helps us time our buys. It oscillates between 0 and 100, and as the currency strengthens or weakens, it will change. So when we see the RSI break above 50 and all the other parts of the system are clicking, it tells us that the momentum is starting to get bullish, that the buyers are coming in. So that's our technical indicator. It's extremely simple and very straightforward.
Okay, that leads us to the last part, the S.
Yeah, this is arguably the most important part, and it stands for sentiment. This is really our special sauce. Our research has shown that before a cryptocurrency takes off, we often see a surge in social media chatter about that particular crypto.
How far in advance do you see this chatter?
In the days and weeks before a crypto jumps, we look for when sentiment breaks out to a 30-day high. Once we see it break the 30-day high, that tells us that interest in the cryptocurrency is building. I'm going to show you some examples. For the first half of last year, the price of Bitcoin barely moved. It started the year around $450 and was still there 5 months later. However, in May, sentiment indicated a buy on Bitcoin. You can see it clearly on this chart. The line suddenly spikes. A few weeks after this signal, Bitcoin took off. It soared all the way up to $750 in less than a month and would nearly pass $1,000 before the year was out. Now, I recommended it to my readers and we're still holding. Anyone who followed my recommendations could have made as much as 1,000%. The same thing happened with Emma Coin, another cryptocurrency. In January of last year, it jumped as much as 397% in less than 4 months. For most investors, this move came out of nowhere. But once again, had you known about my bit strategy, you could have known a week in advance. That's when my sentiment indicator spiked. It happened again in July. On July 4th, my indicator anticipated a big move for Steam. Within 10 days, it had rocketed as much as 1,696%. That turns every $1,000 investment into more than $17,000 in less than 2 weeks. Now, if you're already worth millions of dollars, maybe this doesn't change your life. But if you're like most people, an extra $17,000, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's for real. I mean, it's the vacation you've always dreamed about but could never take.
It is a life-changing move for a lot of people to be able to make that kind of money. Yes, you'll probably have to deal with some volatility, but to be able to make that kind of money without putting your whole life at risk, to me, that's the opportunity that crypto offers. Even if you stick just $500 into an idea like that and potentially make $8,000, that's huge. We're seeing incredible gains like this on a regular basis. My team and I decided to perform a detailed historical analysis using just our S indicator. We went back to the last year and looked at many of the biggest cryptocurrency moves and tried to see if a spike in sentiment happened to precede the gain. It happened all the time. We found 27 cryptos that would have shot up in the days and weeks following this signal.
So we're putting up the entire list on your screen right now. You could have made 817% in 6 weeks from Sia Coin, 205% in 3 weeks from Augur, 771% in 3 months from Shadow Cash, and dozens more.
The average gain was 250%, and the average holding period was just 38 days. According to our research, there are several opportunities like this every month, and now we can help you find them.
Now, I have to imagine there were some big moves your system didn't pick up on, right?
Of course, no indicator anywhere in the world is going to capture every big move. That would be impossible. Cryptocurrencies are volatile. There are some that shoot up, but if there's no reason for the spike, it probably means they're coming right back down. That's why I analyze each crypto personally. I run it by my team. I make sure it passes all my other checklists. I want the ones that can give us not only a quick gain, but also have the chance of becoming as valuable as Bitcoin is. Those are the ideas that we focus on.
Fantastic. Tika, Are you ready now to share one of your top picks?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to talk about two picks, actually. I've talked about this one a lot lately. I call it the next big thing in cryptocurrencies. It's a crypto disrupting one of the biggest markets in the world, banking. You see, most banks are still using old, antiquated technology to transfer money. Even today, it takes them about 3 to 5 days to clear a typical transaction. However, with this crypto, it takes 5 to 10 seconds. In other words, this crypto is 25,920 times faster. Not only that, it's much cheaper too. It's 42% cheaper than what banks currently pay. And experts project that those cost savings will get as high as 62% over time. If you're a big bank moving trillions of dollars every day, that's a world of difference. Which is why the big banks and financial institutions are now lining up to use this crypto. Already, 75 of the world's biggest banks have partnered with it. That includes UBS, one of the world's largest banks, as well as Bank of America, Barclays, and Santander. This is great news, Bob, because cryptos almost always soar when the big players give them a stamp of approval. Bitcoin was flat for years, but when online publishing platform WordPress started accepting it as payment, it took off. Same thing for Ethereum. When it started forming lucrative partnerships with big players, including IBM, Samsung, and Microsoft, it soared quadruple digits. When my Chinese crypto cut a development deal with Microsoft, it soared 14,000%. Now, the same thing is happening with this digital currency. It's still selling for pennies right now, around 20 cents. But some of the biggest names in banking have signed on and are about to start using it. In fact, 40% of Japanese banks just signed a deal with this crypto. They're gearing up for the first large-scale commercial launch. Now, they didn't give an exact date. All they said was that it should happen in the fall of this year. That means right now is the perfect time to get some money in, before billions of banking dollars starts pushing its value higher. When my other big winners were in similar situations, they soared 1,241%, 2,050%, even 14,354%. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one follow a similar path.
Tika, you've got my attention. What's its name?
Ripple. That's R-I-P-P-L-E, Ripple.
Ripple, got it. And Tika, you said you also have another one?
Ripple is amazing, but the new crypto I've uncovered could put the potential gains in Ripple to shame. This crypto is very small, much smaller than Ripple. It's more private than any other crypto I've come across. Now, outside of a small number of people, this crypto is virtually unknown. But I recently discovered that very soon this crypto is expected to announce a major initiative. One that I believe will make it the most secure cryptocurrency in the world and will very likely send a flood of money into this coin. Now, this could be a game-changing moment for this crypto. And when I ran it through my bit system, it confirmed my suspicions.
Tika, can you walk us through each of your checkpoints so our viewers can see what you mean?
Absolutely. Look at the business value ratio.
Okay.
This crypto is below the black solid line on the chart, below the 30-day average, meaning it's cheap.
So the I, what about insiders?
This is a remarkable group. I've met dozens of cryptocurrency teams. This is one of the best I've seen. They're clearly the kind of guys you want to invest alongside.
So what about the technicals on this?
Well, below you can see that the RSI of this crypto is right at the 50. That means buyers are starting to get in. This reading tells us it's time to get into the trade.
And what about sentiment?
Well, sentiment has broken above the baseline. This is a very strong sign that this crypto is about to explode higher.
How high do you think it could go?
Well, as I said, this crypto specializes in privacy. We've seen our other privacy picks soar as much as 208% in 3 months and 1,522% in 8 months. But this one is even more private. It's made 3 major improvements over the other leading privacy cryptos. Given that it's much smaller than the other players and more private, I think it could soar even higher than all of the others have. In the short term, I think we'll see this one double over the next few weeks. And on the high end, really the sky's the limit. You could be looking at a 10, 20, even 25 times your money or more.
Well, I know out of fairness to your paying subscribers, you can't give away this crypto's name tonight, but you have prepared a report that everybody listening tonight can claim for free. Isn't that right?
Yes, it's called the Cryptocurrency Action Plan, your guide to making a fortune in 2018. You see, I know cryptocurrencies are probably new to most of our listeners, so my team and I have done everything we can to make it easy to get started. And this guide, Bob, it's really 3 reports in one. So let me explain what you get here. In part 1, I reveal the name of this crypto along with a full write-up and even a buy-up-to price. I'll tell you what I learned from the founders and all the growth opportunities it has going for it. In part 2, I'll show you exactly how to invest in it. I've put together an instructional video that walks you through, step by step, each part of the process. It only takes a few minutes. Finally, in part 3, I give you more insights on how my system works and how I'm able to use it the way I do. I've put all the details in this guide, and I've made sure everyone listening tonight can get it for free.
Fantastic. Now, this is the first time we've ever released this guide, so I'm sure a lot of people are excited to get their hands on it. And it's a good time for me to mention something else we're doing. To help you get ahead of the big opportunities coming up for cryptocurrencies, we've decided to put together a special deal on Tika's research service. You see, as I said earlier, Tika recently launched a groundbreaking research service called Palm Beach Confidential. We created this service to bring our readers what we call asymmetric trades, opportunities that have vast upside with minimal downside. As you've seen, the cryptocurrency market is a gold mine for these kinds of trades. It's one of the few places where you can turn a tiny investment into a massive windfall. All you have to do is invest $100 or $200 to potentially make thousands or even tens of thousands. To pass Tika's checklist, each play must be small and give you the chance to double your money in the next 12 months. With his cryptocurrency recommendations, Tika's set the bar even higher at 1,000% gains. Of course, not every pick has reached that, and not everyone will. But as you've seen, several of his recommendations have blown past that target, and several more are knocking on the door, which is why you should see his latest idea as soon as possible. Tika even puts strict buy-up-to prices with each recommendation to help you avoid chasing the price. Isn't that right, Tika?
Correct. I always put a buy-up-to price, and I also tell you when I think it's time to get out of the trade.
Terrific. Now, as I said, we're offering all of tonight's listeners an unbelievable deal on a membership to Palm Beach Confidential. It's our way of thanking you for joining us tonight. As part of this offer, we've also decided to do something else we've never done before, the $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. As Tika talked about, he believes Bitcoin could double or triple in the near future. And some of the cryptocurrency experts Tika has talked to believe that a single share Bitcoin will someday be worth over $1 million. Right, Tika?
Yes, I've met with one of the largest miners of Bitcoin, and he controls a massive amount of hashing power in China. And he told me he holds his Bitcoin. He never sells it. And I asked him how high he thinks it's going to go. And he said $1 million per coin.
Well, even if that's on the optimistic side, there's no doubt that Bitcoin has the potential to make you a lot of money. So for a limited time, we're giving away $1 million worth of Bitcoin. we're giving $200 worth to everyone who joins Tika's research service tonight. Just to be clear, you'll be getting actual Bitcoin. You'll have a real stake in the most valuable cryptocurrency in the entire world. We'll send you the Bitcoin, and all you have to do is follow a few steps, and $200 will appear in your account. We tested it out, and it took just a few minutes. It's very simple. You can use this Bitcoin however you like. You can spend it, keep it as Bitcoin, or put it in another one of Tika's recommendations. The only catch? You'll need to hurry. Now folks, the link is about to appear just to the right of the video in just a few moments. If the order page takes a while to load, it's probably just because there are a lot of people on the page. Just give it a few minutes. No need to click on it more than once. And if the order form is slow to process, again, it's probably just because there are a lot of people on the page, so thank you for your patience.
Bob, I wanted to do this $1 million Bitcoin giveaway because the last time I saw this kind of opportunity was in the early 1990s. The internet was just beginning to pick up steam, but most people still didn't understand it. Now I see cryptocurrencies going through the exact same cycle. I believe the amount of money you can make today is tremendous. Just imagine with me for a moment. Let's say you make just a small investment in the plays I've discussed today. Let's suppose they all underperform, but just one of them ends up disrupting 1% of its target market. Even under this ultra-conservative scenario, you could still make 25 times your money or more. Now look, obviously I'm not guaranteeing that will happen. I don't have a crystal ball. You never know what the future holds. But as you can see, the potential upside in these ideas is so huge that you can have tiny positions and still make massive gains.
And that's why cryptocurrencies are the perfect Palm Beach confidential idea. You can make potentially life-changing wealth without taking life-changing risk. Now, as you can imagine, Palm Beach Confidential is a high-end research service. The regular price is $3,000, and we don't offer cash refunds to those who subscribe, get all the research, and quickly cancel. That's because the opportunities we're providing aren't things you learn much from simply surfing the web. They're too small. Tika has to use all the connections he's made over the years and spent a lot of time doing boots-on-the-ground research. Remember, he spent the better part of the past year researching cryptocurrencies.
Bob, in some cases, it takes me over 6 months to arrange a meeting. I've traveled all over the world tracking down many of these men and women. I went to Toronto, Las Vegas, New York City, London, Copenhagen, Berlin, Santa Clara, and Lisbon. My schedule is already filling up for next year. I bet we'll spend $30,000 or more flying me around the world and getting me into conferences.
That's just the work he's been putting in with cryptocurrencies, folks. For a biotech opportunity he told his readers about, we had to pay a pretty penny to gain access to a former FDA director and over $10,000 to a technology consultant. In other words, the information you're getting isn't something you'll find on a free blog or website, or even a regular newsletter for that matter. So really, $3,000 is a bargain, especially considering that he's been paid as much as $7,000 to speak for an hour to a group of Fortune 1000 insiders. However, we know it can be scary or intimidating to try something new like investing in a new market, especially one that's as foreign to you as cryptocurrencies probably are. So our publisher has agreed to slash the price all the way down to $2,500, just to make sure you have every incentive to try his research right now. That gives you a $500 discount. You could take that $500 savings and put it towards a cruise, a fun weekend, monthly bills, whatever you want.
Or you could put it in one of my cryptocurrency recommendations.
That's a better idea.
With some of my past picks, a $500 investment would have turned into more than $50,000. If my top pick does half as well as I expect it could, you could turn that $500 into a small fortune. So that money you're saving really is a big deal.
That's absolutely right. It's a great deal. However, because this is the world's first $1 million Bitcoin giveaway, and because this is the biggest event we've ever done, we're going to make this an amazing deal. Instead of 1 year, you'll get a second year absolutely free. In other words, when you sign up for Tika's research service today, you'll pay just $2,500 for the first year, and you'll get the second year on the house. It won't cost you a dime. Plus, we're also going to offer you an amazing guarantee. We guarantee that you'll have the chance to grow your wealth 1,000% over the next 12 months, meaning if Tika's track record doesn't show the chance at total gains of 1,000%, then Tika will work for free. You'll get an extra year of membership for no cost whatsoever. There are no strings attached. As long as you sign up today, you lock in this guarantee. What do you think, Tika? This is a pretty big promise. Do you really think you can do it?
Absolutely. I've made this promise 3 times already and hit the mark every single time. Most of my picks soared at triple digits, and 4 have already soared over 1,000%. So we may have a single big winner that delivers the bulk of the gains, or it's possible that your 1,000% growth comes from several plays. Maybe one soars 500%, another 300%, and another 200%, and combined they give you 1,000%. I don't know, but I do know that in just the past few months, my readers have had the chance to book as much as 14,354% from just one pick. So I don't think we'll have any problem getting to 1,000% over the next calendar year.
And just to be clear, even if you have the chance to book 900% gains, or even 999% gains, if it's anything below 1,000%, you get an additional year of Tika's research on the house. If you have any questions about this, just call the number that should be appearing on your screen. Or you can click on the button on your screen. You'll be taken to a page with more details along with all the things available for you tonight. But again, we can only make this deal for a limited time. Don't worry, if you click on this link, the form will open in a new window. You can keep listening to the webinar. Or if you'd prefer to call in, you can call the number on your screen right now. 800-436-1295. For international calls, it's 443-353-4611. If you get a busy signal, please call right back. You'll probably get right in. And remember, you can always go to the secure order form instead. It's the easiest and fastest way to get in. It will also give you a recap of everything you'll receive. You'll know exactly what you're getting. But again, the number is 800-436-1295. Okay, here's a recap of everything you'll get when you subscribe. The Cryptocurrency Action Plan, your guide to making a fortune in 2018. You'll get the name of Tika's top pick, a full write-up on his bits system, and complete access to his training videos. The blockchain, your backdoor to cryptocurrency fortunes. You may have heard about the blockchain, the technology that makes cryptocurrencies possible. It's one of the reasons so much money is flowing into the cryptocurrency market. All the big players are falling all over themselves to invest in it, and for good reason. The outfits leading the blockchain revolution are making investors rich. One startup belonging to this tiny sub-niche recently shot up as much as 1,905% in 10 days. This guide gives you a full write-up on Tika's top 3 blockchain picks and training videos on how to invest in them. They trade for as little as 50 cents. You could easily turn a few $100s invested into thousands. You'll get all the details in this special report. Tika's put in the finishing touches on it, and we'll send it to you in the next few days. 24 issues of Palm Beach Confidential, delivered on the 3rd Thursday of every month with full details on Tika's latest opportunity. Bi-weekly video updates sent to you every other week. Tika will keep you up to speed on what's happening with the picks in our model portfolio. 1,000% guarantee. Tika guarantees that his model portfolio will give you the chance to see 1,000% total gains, or you'll get another year for free. $200 worth of Bitcoin. As a special gift for joining Tika's research service, you'll get $200 of Bitcoin delivered via email. One more thing, if you sign up today, we're also including another timely special report called Make 8 Times Your Money on Gold. Tika, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it might be odd. Why is a cryptocurrency guy talking about gold? Well, I think gold is very important. It's an amazing storehouse of value, and there are some things going on in the gold market that I think could cause gold prices to go significantly higher. So I did a lot of research in this area, and I came across a little-known investment opportunity that I call a gold multiplier. And so here's what that means. When gold moves higher, historically, this kind of company moves a lot higher than gold does. So in the past, when gold was moved up, this thing has moved up 1,960%, even 3,754%. Now with gold rebounding off its lows, now is a perfect time to get into this idea. If gold hits $1,500, I believe you could make 8 times your money. If gold prices reach the previous highs of 2011, near $1,900, you may be able to make even 10 times your money on this particular investment.
Perfect. It's another asymmetric trade. You'll get all the details in this report included free with your subscription. Okay, just remember you have very little time to access this wealth of resources. To take advantage of this one-time offer, just click the link on your page or call 800-436-1295 now. For international calls, it's 443-353-4611. You'll be able to get signed up in minutes. And again, if the lines are busy, just call right back. Okay, it's time for the Q&A. Tika, are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get it rolling. Reminder, nothing we say here should be construed as personal investment advice. All the answers are directed to the audience, so I'm going to try to choose the questions that will apply to everybody listening. Tika will give you his best answers. Okay, Tika, here we go. We've got a lot of questions. Here's the first one. After seeing your gains, some people are wondering if you use options.
No, not in this research service. All the gains are from regular stocks and cryptocurrencies.
Okay, this is kind of a follow-up to that. What about short-term trading? Do you do any of that?
In Palm Beach Confidential, our goal is simple. When it comes to stock recommendations, we only recommend ideas that we think can double over the next 12 months. With cryptos, we have an even higher standard. I'm looking for 10 baggers. That's 1,000% in a year. Now, as we have seen, sometimes the gains come much faster than that. We've had cryptos soar as much as 14,000% in just a few months. But typically, when it comes to crypto, we're looking for plays that can 10x in a year.
You're constantly on the lookout for other ideas, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I travel the world talking to experts, not just on cryptocurrencies, but in biotechnology, in molecular technology, in microelectronics. I'm going to London in a few weeks to meet with some of the top finance guys in the world to talk about the ways that they're solving some of their massive problems. And there are these tiny companies that are solving these problems for folks that are public that most people don't know about. And they just offer incredible asymmetric risk possibilities for us where we can just risk really a tiny amount of money and just make fabulous gains.
Okay, Tika, here's a question that I think a lot of our listeners may be able to relate to. He says that he doesn't have any experience with cryptocurrencies. He's wondering if this service is going to be too advanced for him.
No, he'll fit right in. I've built this research service for anyone to use, even for those who just want to learn about cryptocurrencies and not trade them. You see, most people have very little experience with cryptocurrencies. This is a very new market. It's been around for less than a decade, but 99% of investors still don't know that it exists. So we've designed this service for beginners. Each time I've published a new recommendation, I've had a training video created to show you how to invest.
So, Tika, I've read through the feedback that you've gotten from current subscribers, and I know people really do appreciate the videos and the explanations.
Yeah, we work very hard to keep things as simple as possible. So don't worry if you're just getting started. You'll be in really good company with your fellow subscribers. And again, we have a ton of resources to help you through.
Now, folks, if the order page takes a while to load, it's probably just because there are a lot of people on the page. Just give it a few minutes. No need to click on it more than once. And if the order form is slow to process, again, it's probably just because there are a lot of people on the page. So thank you for your patience. And please, you can also call our customer service team and they will help you out. We've got over 40 people ready to take your phone call. Call it 800-436-1295 or internationally 443-353-4611. Okay, Tika, here's another question that I certainly can relate to. This person says they're retired, and what business does a retired person have in investing in cryptocurrencies? Or is this appropriate for a retired person, I guess is what he's saying, to invest in cryptocurrencies?
I think it depends on the individual, Bob. I will say this, that this is not appropriate to invest massive chunks of your net worth in. Cryptocurrencies are inherently speculative and wildly volatile. So I would say this, if you have a small portion of your capital that is earmarked to speculative ideas, I'm saying that you should put some of that speculative money into cryptocurrencies because it's the only asset that I can see right now where you could potentially invest just $500 and turn it into $5,000 or even $50,000. I'm not seeing that kind of opportunity exist anywhere else in the marketplace. And unless you are poverty-stricken, even a small $500 investment, if it didn't work out, wouldn't put you out on the street.
Right.
And that's what I love about these ideas.
Yeah, well, that's actually kind of the way I'm being retired myself. I am going to devote a small piece of the money I invest generally. And, you know, if it comes, when this thing pops, I mean, it could be a great trip to Europe. It could be buying a new carbon fiber bicycle. I mean, it could mean a whole lot of things for me. And again, if it doesn't work out so great, it's not going to change my life.
It's not going to put you in the poorhouse.
Exactly.
It's not going to change your life. And again, what this comes down to is making life-changing gains without taking life-changing risks.
Right.
Bob, I know we're kind of going off topic here a little bit, but what I want to stress to everybody is that we are at a unique time in history. Times like this don't happen very often. The last time I saw something like this was 20 years ago. Do you have another 20 years to wait for another opportunity like this?
I just checked my driver's license, my DOB. I don't think I do.
That's what I'm saying, that this window of opportunity will not last forever. At some point, cryptocurrencies will go mainstream. And when they do you think we'll be able to make the potential 1,800% in 15 trading days? No. It'll be gone. And when that window closes, it closes forever.
Right.
That's why it's important to take action right now.
Right.
That's why it's important to step up to the plate and say, you know what? I'm going to throw a few $100s in this.
Yep.
Because it can absolutely change your life without putting your life at risk.
I love the asymmetric nature of this whole thing. Okay, Tika, we've got another question here. It says, I can't find Bitcoin in my brokerage account. How do I buy them? And here's basically the same question. I don't know how to set up an account. What should I do? Can you explain briefly where you can find Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies?
Sure. Cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin do not trade on regular stock exchanges. So if you go and tell your broker, I want to buy some Bitcoin, he's not going to know what to do.
Right.
Now, as far as setting up an account, I would recommend that you watch the instructional videos my team and I have put together. In the video, I actually timed myself setting up an account, and it took minutes. If you know how to set up a trading account with a major firm like Fidelity, or if you've ever set up an options account, you can set up a cryptocurrency account. And again, we have videos that show you where you need to go, the different service providers that will actually allow you to buy Bitcoin and to buy some of the other coins that we recommend.
You can also call our customer service team. They obviously can't set up an account for you, but they can give you information on where you can go. If you'd like to talk to someone right now, just call the number on your screen. That's 800-436-1295. Tika, we're seeing a lot of orders coming in. I'm thrilled to see how many orders we have coming in. I want to welcome and congratulate everyone who has taken this big step in subscribing to Palm Beach Confidential. Just a reminder, this special offer we have put together is only available for unlimited time. And once it's gone, it's gone.
Bob, I just want to add something. We're never going to see another opportunity like we're seeing right now in the cryptocurrency market. We're seeing 100% gainers every month, every week, almost every day. It's unbelievable. As I've talked with subscribers, they tell me they're so glad they overcame their fears and took the plunge. I'm fully confident you'll feel the same way.
Tika, I know that the hardest part is taking that first step. But once you get it out of the way, everything gets much easier. We're not going to be able to get to everyone's questions tonight, but here's one that I think is very appropriate. Someone says, what is a cryptocurrency? Where do they get their value? And Tika, I have a question. Where do they get their names? Who comes up with the names of these things?
The names are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are.
Let's talk about Bitcoin, since it's the biggest cryptocurrency in the world, and people want to know, why is Bitcoin valuable? Okay, so this is what gives Bitcoin value. The fact that the Bitcoin network is a completely unhackable network. It's totally decentralized. It's the first time that individuals have been able to exchange value without an intermediary. And so what also provides the Bitcoin network with value is that you don't need to trust the people on the network in order to conduct business. So if you want to buy something from me, or if we want to exchange payments, we can exchange payments through the Bitcoin network, and I can trust the Bitcoin network that you have what you say you have, and I have what I say I have. And again, we don't need a central clearinghouse to act as that intermediary between us. That is incredibly valuable. The other thing that gives Bitcoin tremendous value is that the database that stores all of the data for the Bitcoin network is completely unhackable. And the reason why it's unhackable is because of the way the database is designed. It's not designed with a central database like every other computed database in the world is. It's distributed. So the database actually sits on 5,000 different machines. It's fully encrypted. If you want to make a change to the database, 51% of the machines on that network have to agree to that change. So let's say you're a bad actor and you want to hack the network. Well, you can hack one machine, but unless you can hack 51% of the machines simultaneously in the 10-minute window that the Bitcoin network works on, you will not be able to subvert that network. You will not be able to crack that network. You will not be able to steal from that network. And that has great economic value. And what we're seeing right now are other companies actually starting to write data into the Bitcoin network to create this, they call it an immutable audit chain, right, of data. So it shows data that they want to have a long-term record of that nobody can go back and manipulate. And this is just one of the early stage uses of Bitcoin.
Wow. Okay, so here's another question specifically about Palm Beach Confidential. Tika, it says, what is the average number of recommended positions this service will carry every year?
So it varies. Generally speaking, we'll come out with a new idea each month, but not necessarily every month. It varies. Generally, we look to come out with an idea each month, but if we are looking at the investment landscape and the markets just don't make sense with ideas,
Right.
we don't come out with an idea. We'll maybe do an issue talking about some of the ideas that we currently have.
Here's another question. It says, Ripple has gone up a lot in the past few months. If I get in now, am I getting in too late? I think you've kind of answered this question earlier, but let's deal with it specifically, Tika.
This is a superb question. It's a question I get a lot. Yes, Ripple has gone up a lot, and we talked about this, that some of these have gone up so much, should we be worried? So I want to draw your attention to Bitcoin. When Tom Dyson, my good friend, put $25,000 in Bitcoin, he bought Bitcoin below $5, and then he sold his Bitcoin between $150 and $300 because it had gone up so much. If he had just held on just 6 months more, he would have made $3.5 million as it went to $1,200 a coin. We are in the first couple of pitches of the first inning of a 9-inning game, Bob. It's like saying, well, like 1986 buying Microsoft, and now it's 1989 and Microsoft's up 400%. You say, oh, it's gone up so much. Do I really want to hold it? Well, you know, if you held it, it went up another 600 times.
Wow, yeah.
So that's where we are, guys. It's early days in this space, and I don't want you to get freaked out saying, oh, this is up 200, this is up 400, this is up 500, oh, the game's over. No, the game's just begun. It's just begun. And that's what's so amazing about the time that we're in right now.
So, Tika, here's another question that I think is very appropriate. Your special reports have buy up to prices. What about sell at prices? So you kind of talked about that a little bit, but will you advise your subscribers on when to sell their Bitcoin or their Ether or whatever cryptocurrency you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing with some of these ideas where we're expecting really spectacular moves,
right?
What we're going to do is as we start moving up, we'll start taking off just a little bit to cover our original investment, so we essentially get a free ride on the rest of them.
Okay.
So that's how we're handling that.
Okay, great. Here's another question. How do I sign up? Ha! We love that kind of question, don't we? So just click the button on your screen or call 800-436-1295. Again, international is 443-353-4611. Remember, if you wait, you'll miss out on the big discount. The phone number's on your screen. We have people standing by ready to take your call, or just click on the link below at the bottom of your screen. It'll take you to a new page where you can get all signed up and see everything that we're offering tonight. And don't worry, it'll open a new page on your computer. You'll still be able to stay with the webinar. I see we have lots of people ordering. They're all taking advantage of this special discount and claiming their stake in our $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's take a few more questions. Well, Tika, I think this goes to your expertise in the equity market. We're getting a number of questions from people who are worried about a market crash. They're not specific. I'm assuming they mean equity market. What would you say to them, Tika?
I'd say, yeah, we're going to have crashes. They're unavoidable. I've been in this business since 1989, and every couple of years we get a crash. I would say that you've just got to be smart in how you put your positions on. So I'll give you a prime example. Earlier this year, we saw the market was getting really overheated, really overvalued. And so what we specifically did was look at areas of the market that were underperforming. And one area that was underperforming horribly was biotech. And so we found two amazing biotech companies that were on the verge of coming out with 2 brand new products that were just so cheap. We went in there and we bought them. Within a month, we were up 30% on both of them, and we continue to be up on both of them, and we think they'll more than double in value. So again, yes, you will always have volatility in equity markets. The key is, don't buy expensive equities. Find the cheap ones.
I guess the key is how you deal with that volatility. If you're fearful, that's one thing, but if you look at that volatility and see opportunities in there, that's where you can make some great gains.
110% correct.
Okay. Here's another question, and I think we talked a little bit about this, but how does your system help lower risk? And I assume they're talking about Palm Beach Confidential.
Yeah, this is a great question. Look, the first thing that we do is we're looking for areas of the market where there's not a lot of other people looking at. So whenever you look at an area of the market where other folks aren't, you're going to have cheaper valuations, right? When you have fewer eyes on a sector, there's fewer money in the sector. Secondly, if you follow my asset allocation guide, the most you could lose on each play is just a few $100s. Because of the nature of these ideas, because we only look at ideas that have fabulous upside, we never have large positions on. I recommend you put a very small percentage of your portfolio in each play. That's because it takes very little money to move the needle on your entire portfolio if you buy something that goes up 1,500%. Again, I mean, if you invest $500 and it goes up 1,500%, which happens all the time with cryptocurrencies, that's an $8,000 gain.
Tika, that's incredible. I mean, to make the same amount of money from an S&P 500 company or an index fund, you'd have to risk a heck of a lot more. So I think in a lot of ways, investing small amounts in cryptocurrencies is, when you look at it that way, much less risky than investing in bigger stocks, simply because you don't have to put up nearly as much money.
And I want to take on that point, right? I mean, we could have a black swan event tomorrow, and the S&P could drop 40%. And let's say you've got $500,000 in there, right? What is that? 200 grand just wiped out, okay? Or you could take $3,000 or $4,000, buy a basket of cryptocurrencies, and if cryptocurrencies fall 40% tomorrow, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? But if those ideas can go up 1,500% each over the next couple of years, what does that do for your life?
Right.
It's life-changing.
Yeah. And if you've got a basket of cryptocurrencies, a number of them could not do so well, but if you get one that really goes, I mean, you've got it right there.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, Tika, this is a question that is interesting. I'm sure you have an answer to it. It says, if Tika finds a stock he believes will tank, does he recommend taking a short position? Do you short stocks in Palm Beach Confidential?
You know,
that's the question.
We haven't shorted stocks yet, only because we're in a rip-roaring bull market, and one of the fastest ways to lose money is to go short in a bull market. So, no, we have not shorted yet. Would I be open to shorting in the future when the market conditions are conducive to shorting? Absolutely.
Okay. Here's another question. Is there a minimum investment required in these kinds of plays? I think you've answered this in so many words, but maybe just go directly
absolutely not.
at it.
I mean, when I say that this market is built for the little guy, it's built for the little guy. It's the only asset class I know where you can come in with $2,000 and spread it out over 5 or 6 different ideas and make literally thousands and thousands of dollars in gains. I don't know anywhere else you can do that.
Here's a good one that it's appropriate, especially for for working people. It says, how much time? I'm assuming they're meaning how much time will this service require? I mean, how involved do you have to be with this as a subscriber, Tika?
Well, as I said earlier, I send out a new issue the 3rd Thursday of every month. I also give you a short update every other week. And so it doesn't take very long to make each trade. I will say, though, that this cryptocurrency stuff is addictive. Once you start digging into it, you just become fascinated by it. So I think it will become a really fun hobby for a lot of new subscribers. But again, if you're not interested in any of that, it's as simple as reading the recommendation, going onto the online exchange, and buying the crypto.
Perfect. So it sounds like you can spend as much time as you want to on this, but you don't need to be glued to your computer 8 hours a day.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And again, that's the beauty of small positions.
Right.
A $200 position, you're not worried about what it does today or tomorrow.
Again, to get all of Tika's research and recommendations, click on the link on the page below or call 800-436-1295. You'll be able to get signed up in minutes. And again, if the lines are busy, please just call right back. Tika, another question. Do you use stop losses?
On the equity portion of our model portfolio, meaning the individual stocks, we will always use a stop loss. On cryptocurrencies, because they are so volatile and because our positions are so small, we've found that it does not make sense to use a stop loss.
Okay. Here's a question that'll interest a lot of people. Will Bitcoin become the new gold?
Yes.
Well, great. I love questions with a yes or no answer. Fine. Next question. Speaking of gold, we have some questions about that. People know you've been bullish on gold recently and are wondering if that's still the case.
Yeah, we're having this webinar right now in 2017, and this, I believe, will be the first year where we will see a resumption of inflation. We have not seen inflation in the United States in about 10 years. And that is very, very, very bullish for gold. And we don't need to see a lot of inflation. Just the resumption back to the normal 200-year average of 3% will send gold rip-roaring higher. I'm a huge fan of gold here.
All right, here's another question. Do you have any cryptocurrencies that you'd avoid?
Yeah, generally speaking, if the cryptocurrency doesn't have any practical use, you want to avoid it. It can't just be a neat technology. It's got to serve a real world purpose. You got to think of it like a company. Would you invest in a company that didn't have any legitimate products, that wasn't making any money, that just had a fancy office and glossy business cards?
Yes, I did in the late 90s in some of those internet companies. Thank you very much.
A lot of folks did. So this is where the insiders part comes in. So you want to look at the credibility of the team, and you want to look at a team that has an experience of delivering solutions in the past that actually went to market. Those are the folks that you want to put your money with.
All right. So here's here's a question from somebody who's obviously done a little homework on this. It says, the question is, what about BitGold?
Look, right now my answer would be to stay away. I know the fact that it has gold in the name makes it interesting to a lot of people, but that's like the companies that put .com at the end of their name back in the 90s, even if they had nothing to do with technology. Nobody in my network is talking about BitGold. Bits doesn't like it. For now, I'd say put your money elsewhere.
Okay, so just very quickly, I want to recap the offer for you. You'll get 2 years of Tika's research service, Palm Beach Confidential, for just $2,500. That's almost half off. You'll get his special report, The Complete Guide to Cryptocurrency Fortunes. You'll also get his second report, The Blockchain, Your Backdoor to Cryptocurrency Fortunes. You'll get 24 issues of Palm Beach Confidential and bi-weekly updates. You'll get $200 worth of Bitcoin. Most importantly, you have Tika's 1,000% guarantee. He guarantees that you will have the chance to grow your wealth 1,000% over the next 12 months, or you get another year on the house. Okay, we're out of time. To get started immediately, click the link or call the number appearing on your screen now, 800-436-1295. Tika, we're about to sign off. Do you have any final words for our listeners?
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is thank everybody for being here, and thank you, Bob, for taking the time to share this time with us. And I also want to say, friends, that our lives, when you look back on them, they come down to one or two really big decisions that can change your life. Maybe it's a guy in the 80s who said, you know, there's this cool company called Microsoft, or there's this cool company called Intel, there's this cool company called Cisco, and you should check it out. And maybe you heard about them and you're like, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Well, I'm the guy whispering in your ear right now. There's this cool thing called cryptocurrencies, and it's going to change the world. And you have an opportunity right now to have a ringside seat and have what I consider to be the best research in the world in this space. Friends, there's nobody else in my industry that has this same network. There's nobody else right now that's even started to look at this space. And that's an incredible opportunity. What do you think will happen when the next guy comes along, and then the next guy, and then the next guy, and then the Wall Street firms start pumping out research on these ideas? Come join me. Go through my research. Take a shot.
Tika, I am on board. I'm ready to ride this wave because based on everything that you've said and the research that you've done, this wave will turn into a tsunami, and I want to be there for it.
Awesome. Awesome. Friends, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a real pleasure to share this time with you.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Have a great evening.